Well, good morning, and it is just about good morning, and welcome to a nice and sunny Silverstone. A little bit chilly in the air, but if you stay in the sun, it's nice and warm. As you can probably hear, and as you'll soon see beside me, or behind me I should say, we've got the Classic Sports Car Club coming up today. We've got one race just before lunch, a 40-minute race coming up for you, and they should be just about approaching me. I've got to watch my back actually, just to make sure everyone behaves themselves coming through. But as you can see, cars are making their way to the grid spots now and making their way for the first race of the day. I'm thoroughly looking forward to it, and as we see all these cars come through, lots of Hondas, Honda Civics as well, passing their way through. A little Peugeot as well there as well. That number 58 passing its way through. Miles Mosley in that lovely Pug Sport Racing Peugeot there, and I'm looking forward to getting this racing day underway as we've got the front row just taking their stance there. Looking forward to this. This first race of the day is the Co-Ord Sport Tin Tops, and it's a very packed out grid, nearly 30 cars ready to take the race proceedings start. And yeah, you can see there's the number 16 car making its way just about starting to grid up of Terry Upton in that Ford Fiesta ST as it passes its way through. And yeah, I think hopefully I don't cause a little bit of mayhem, I should say, on the grid with me just standing here. But I just about see there is a number 19, which is the number with a Renault Clio that's coming through. That's a car that had a little bit of wars at the moment. Its bonnet came up under safety car in the qualifying session. They've taped it down, then they had further issues other than that. But they seem to have got the car up and running as they're hopefully looking to get themselves underway. With that though, I guess it's time for me to stop rabbiting on about the intro of the day and hand over to our commentary team for the day of Chris Buxton and Paul Truswell.
Thanks, Kieran. Great to have your introduction down there, right as you say, in amongst the cars. The ones up at the front we'll just talk about briefly. On pole position, car number 86 is car number 86 is the car of Nigel Ainge and Danny Kassar. Alongside him, or that car on the front row of the grid, is Manoj Patel in the Honda Civic. So it's the Integra on pole and the Honda Civic alongside him on the front row of the grid, the silver car with the yellow front. Then on the second row of the grid, we've got car number 56, the Ford Fiesta of Adam Brown, and the number 6 Honda Integra of Russell Hurd. The third row of the grid is car number 30, the Integra of Gary Barlow, and then alongside him is the yellow and black car of Alfie Jones, the Civic. That's car number 36. On the fourth row, number 14 is Steve Papworth with his Civic, and alongside him, car number 234 is James Wilson with the Peugeot 206. Fifth row, number 58 is Miles Mosley with his Peugeot. That's a 306 Rally, and then alongside him is car number 77, Mark and Lewis Alexander Williams. Not quite sure which order they'll be going in, but Kieran will keep us advised of any information that he's got. That's the Citroen Saxo then leading its class in Class F, and then also leading its Class E is car number 98, David Bellamy, as the cars head off on their green flag lap. This is the final reconnaissance lap. Don't disregard the race. This is the final green flag lap, and the final opportunity for the drivers to see the conditions as they are at the moment. 31 of them scheduled to be on the grid then, and they're heading now through Cops Corner up towards the site for the first time of Chris Buxton.
Yes, good morning, just about. The field are now just heading towards me. I am positioned at Maggots and Aintree. Of course, we're not using the full Grand Prix layout this year. We did last year for the first time in the club's history. But now the field turning right just after Maggots. Just coming past me now, the Ainge Kassar, number 86, leading the way with Manoj Patel winning here last year in that Civic, so looking to do well. Then Adam Brown and Russell Hurd right behind as the field continues to stream past me. It won't be long before they're back out of my sight, heading down towards Brooklands and back into your sight, Paul. But we have a great mixture of cars in this particular field. It is quite a few usual suspects, the Honda Integra, the Honda Civics, the Fiestas and Clios. We do have Carl Foster in his Lotus Cortina, a little bit, we were saying during qualifying, a little bit kind of fish out of water almost. But it's great to see that he's out there as well. Yeah, we really cannot wait for a wonderful weekend's racing here at the Classic Sports Car Club.
Yeah, so the field makes their way round Luffield, and very gently, nice, slow warming up lap. Don't quite know if it's quite warm enough to warm everything up, but they'll be trying to get some heat into the tyres. Temperatures chilly, as Kieran no doubt will tell you out there, but bright sunshine. So where the track, as I say, is in the sunshine, then it'll be getting quite comfortably warm indeed then, as the pale blue and white Honda Integra there, Nigel Ames and Danny Kazar taking up position on the front row of the grid. Do we know it's going to be, we suggested it was going to be Nigel Ames doing the driving in that car, let's assume so.
It's his car, and Danny Kazar is generally deemed to be the quicker one, so usually it's Danny that takes over, but I don't have the starting drivers.
Right, so we'll take an assumption on it being Nigel Ames starting, and as I say, the pale blue front and the white sides to the Honda Integra, the silver and yellow Honda Civic of Manoj Patel alongside him, and then on the second row Adam Brown waving the flag for Ford with the almost works coloured car there as somebody comes into the pits right at the back of the grid. Didn't quite see who that was, but one of the cars from the grid, not starting from the grid, starting from the back of the grid, starting from the very back of the grid, is going to be James Slater, who didn't do any laps in practice, waiting for the red lights to come on. Then the green flag is waved at the back of the grid. The red lights are now on, waiting for them to go out, and they do now, and it's a good start from the pole position man. Nigel Ames then gets it nicely off the line, going with him. Manoj Patel trying to make the best of the inside line, and he may well do it. In fact, I think he has done it. So Manoj Patel then, from the second slot on the grid, the inside slot on the grid, takes the lead as they head up towards Beckett's for the first time.
Here they come then. Patel leads from the number 86. It is all Honda affair up front, going through Maggers for the first time. Russell Hurd on the inside line of the Ainsley Kazar car, gets side by side, and they're going to be out of my side before I can see that move being concluded. Looks like everybody is making their way through.
No, there's been contact.
No, there has indeed. Number 51 has just gone off the road. That's the Clothier Merriman car. Has had to do a bit of lawn mowing. It's still going. It's now just getting back up to speed again.
Looked to me as though there was a car that had heavy damage at the front, though, with wheels asunder at the front of the car. I didn't quite catch which car it was, but as they went through Maggots, it was definitely one car which is there and strikes me as it's blocking the track. Leaders, though, coming up to cross the line for the first time, with Manoj Patel coming under pressure from Nigel Ames, and as they go up on the inside there, Ames takes the advantage, goes through into the lead of the race at Copse Corner. So you've had one leader at the at Beckett's already, Chris. You'll be getting another leader this time, because it's going to be Nigel Ames leads when they get to you this time.
And here they are again, and the number it's one of the Odell Fiestas is pulled off to the side of the road, and it is full course yellow as a result. Actually the boot's open on the Odell car as well. It was actually behind me, so I didn't initially spot it, but yeah, that is trouble that's Terry Upton's car that has come to grief. There is a significant amount of damage to the front, and strangely the boot's open, so I don't think he's going to be doing his shopping in that car anytime soon. But that has caused the first full course yellow of the day, and we'll see if that car is able to either recover itself. I would suggest not, by the amount of damage that is in the car. That is going to need a recovery as a red flag. Yeah, I was just thinking they're actually having to remove bits of it independent of the car, so looks like we'll have to do this all over again for the tin tops.
Yes, it had a serious amount of damage to that car, and I think it took two hits. It took a hit against one car and then went spinning through 360 degrees, and as he started pointing back in the right direction again, so he was clobbered by another car, and that car was the one that then triggered the boot to fly open. That was the way I read it off what we saw of the incident unfolding on the stream here. We've also got a fairly damaged car in the pit lane. That's the Renault Clio of Cade Banks, which has managed to make it into the pits. But again, there's a lot of damage to the right-hand side of that car.
Yeah, absolutely. Massive dent in the sort of where the rear passenger door would be if it were a 5-door car, but in the meantime, Cade is actually having trouble getting the car open. They're now worried about the wheel arch as well, that's overlapping the right rear tyre, and yeah, with the full race load, it is absolutely digging in. I am not quite sure if Cade is going to get back out there, but he's chatting with his engineers as we speak.
Right, okay, so the car that caused it all, I would say the car that caused, not sure, but the car that was stationary in the middle of the road behind you, Chris, Terry Upton's Renault Clio, Terry Upton was in a Ford Fiesta. Ford Fiesta with damage at the front and also some kind of impact at the rear as well to pop the rear hatchback open. But that car was stationary, not quite in the middle of the road, but certainly in the middle of the driver's line. And really the organisers had no other option but than to red flag the situation. Now the time ticking down has been taken off my screen, and my guess would be that since that happened on the first lap, we will have a restart, and I'm going to say over the full distance. It may be shortened, but we're being shown on the screen 40 minutes at the moment, and as I say, my guess would be that this will be a full restart from the original grid positions, and the pit window. The reason why the restart is important is, of course, the pit window, which will open after 10 minutes and then remain open for 15 minutes, I think, if I remember what Chris told me earlier on.
Correct, yes. So it would open after 10 minutes and remain open for 15 minutes. Yeah, right. You're indeed correct, and then closed for the remainder of the race.
But the important thing being that with the red flag coming on the first lap, that clock hasn't started ticking yet. So we don't have to start thinking about, oh, what about doing something clever like coming in right at the start? As I say, the clock hasn't even started ticking yet, so we are not in the situation where they've even thought about opening the pit window.
Indeed, yes, because we were a little bit ahead of schedule due to the excellent work of all of the marshals. Again, we always thank our Orange Army for doing a fantastic job, and also the recovery crews and maintenance crews, everybody that gives up so much of their time to allow us to go racing. And as the incident from Terry Upton's car is being dealt with in the best possible manner. From what I can tell, yes, the race isn't being shortened, it's just simply being restarted. When you have interruptions in time like this, they either shorten the race or they shorten a break period somewhere in the schedule. But so early on in proceedings, it would seem logical that we will do the full 40-minute race.
Let's hope so. Certainly the weather is proving kind thus far, and the grid beginning to form up again. So Nigel Ainge has retaken his position on the front row of the grid. Manoj Patel is alongside him in the Honda Civic. Looking back to the second row of the grid, that's fully populated with Adam Brown's Ford Fiesta and Russell Hurd's Honda Integra alongside him. Gary Barlow and Alfie Jones are next up on the third row, and then on the fourth row, Steve Papworth and James Wilson, car number 234, is there in position, all correct. And then the fifth row of the grid, Miles Mosley and Alexander Williams, car is number 77, is the car that's shared with Mark Alexander Williams and Lewis Alexander Williams, and that car is in position on row 5. Row 6 is complete with David Bellamy and the 113 car of Stephen Reynolds and John Ridgeon. And then the 7th row is when we get a gap where Cade Banks is not. But we do have there the number 19 of Lee Channing and Wayne Dye.
Just an update on the Terry Upton situation. The driver is out of the car. Terry is being put into the back of the recovery vehicle, so I expect he probably took quite a whack from, or certainly felt the impact himself. So I'm pleased to say that he is out of the car, and now the recovery crews can deal with the removal of the somewhat wounded number 16 Fiesta. Terry has been with the club a good long time. We've only seen that car come out, or we've only seen Terry, I should say, come out once this season. That was at Alden Park, where sadly he didn't finish on that particular occasion. But the Odell camp look after quite a number of Fiestas, so obviously hoping that Terry's all right and he'll be back on the road very, very soon. But Odell know what they're doing. They'll get that car right as rain without too much fuss.
Yes, of course, the other thing of concern is what needs to be done to the track, if anything, before we're going to be able to go racing again. I didn't see, and you'll be able to confirm this, Chris, whether there was any damage done to any barriers. Hopefully not. And if there is any fluid down on the track, that will just be dealt with a little bit of cement dust or something like that.
Indeed, that's my understanding. The barrier I can see along here doesn't. It seems to be in its original colour. The side of the car that I can see from my vantage point is not where the primary element of damage is. But a number of the recovery cars and vehicles are out there on site ready to do what they need to do. There's actually one of the cleaning vehicles just coming past me that will help deal with any spilt fluids and what have you. So they will put some kind of either cement dust or whatever compound it is they put down. It's not always cement from what I understand. And then they have this amazing tractor unit with basically an industrial sized circular brush on the front that then helps sweep the dust away so we can get going as soon as we can. So the what was the phrase you used? Breakdown Bob was the phrase you used earlier on.
Yes.
It's now out there ready to hoik the number 16 car away.
Yeah, so hopefully that will happen. The majority of the rest got away unscathed. Say Kate Banks is in the pit lane. Kieran McGinley would tell us if anybody else came into the pit lane, but I don't think that anybody else did. Terry Upton was the only one from row 8 who's not going to be able to make it. Car number 133, Alan Walker, was on the outside of row 8. That's the position 15 on the grid. Terry Upton 16th on the grid. And then 17th on the grid, car number 50, Simon Stowe and Justin Potter. Coming up on the, that's row 9 on the grid, and on the outside, or the inside I should say, of row 9 is Nick Meller and John White.
Yeah, just to... oh, sorry, Paul.
Yeah, no,
to,
go ahead. Kieran down there in the pits.
Yes, you were absolutely right. It was Cade Banks who was the only one who came into the pits. As we saw, it was that big damage to the what would have been the rear right passenger door if it was a 5-door. They've taken that back to the holding area. As I suspected, there's just too much damage for that car to continue. And yeah, there's a massive dent in the side. They had some overarching, wheel arch rubbing the right rear tyre as well. So no surprise really. They've taken that straight back to the holding area, and I think that's going to be that Clio's day done.
Yes, and certainly no possibility for Terry Upton's Ford Fiesta to take part in the restart either. Work still going on out on the circuit. How's the rescue operation going, Chris?
Well, the car is on the back of the truck, and various marshals sweeping around the site of where the car came to rest. So hopefully any fluid down has been just where the car stopped, as opposed to it trailing all amounts of fluid along the track. So that will make the clean-up job a bit easier to deal with. The recovery truck is now just setting off with the, as we said, the aforementioned Fiesta looking a bit sorry for itself. I can certainly see now the front is, shall we say, needing work. The rear right wheel doesn't look quite right. Now I'm getting a look on the other side. The oh my goodness, yes, the front left wheel is actually doesn't actually look attached to the car any longer. So very significant damage to the car. As I say, I'm not entirely surprised that this necessitated the emergency recovery vehicle to attend to Terry Upton. Again, we hope that he's all right. Now I can see on the timing screen the race has been shortened, so we're now looking at a 30-minute race for the tin tops. So the pit lane that tends to require the pit stop window to be shortened by 5 minutes. So it'll still open after 10 minutes, but remain open only for 10 minutes thereafter.
Right. So chop the 30 minutes of the race into 3 equal parts. We'll get 10 minutes of racing, 10 minutes of pit stops, or perhaps I was right first time. Kieran McGinley will be telling us about the pit stops as they unfold, and then 10 minutes of racing to sort them all out again at the end. So a shorter race, but necessitated by that delay, but the fact that has now been put up on the screen, hopefully an indication that we're not too far away from the cars coming under starters' orders for this restart. One car to look out for, the car that started right at the back, James Slater, on that opening lap, which was there was quite a bit of incident in it. He managed to get past 5 cars, so James Slater will be kicking his frustration a little bit because he had a very good first race, part 1, and this one he's back to the back of the grid again, starting, having not practiced. He didn't get the car out in qualifying, or he ground to a halt right at the beginning of qualifying, and so look out for James Slater in number 27. So starting from the back of the grid, there's an awful lot of cars between him and the front, but there's 2 fewer than there were, so we started with 31, I reckon. And we'll now have 29. Just looking down at the back. Oh my goodness! Just burnt myself on the binoculars. So hot on the eye patches.
The sun is fairly relentless today. It's not a complaint. It's a beautiful weather, and we have a very sunbathed Silverstone for this weekend's racing.
Yeah. Here's me in the pit lane in the shade, by the way.
Well,
move along to the sunshine.
Well, yeah.
You get to exact your revenge on me tomorrow, because I take you and I will swap round for tomorrow's festivities. So no doubt you will enjoy that. James. Go on, Kieran.
I was going to say, although burn by binoculars, that's a new one. I've not heard that one before, Paul.
I tell you, no, they were sitting in the sun, and as I put them onto my eyes, I kid you not, it nearly burnt me. The reason I put them into my eyes was to look for the number 42 car, the Honda Integra of the Delaney. The D family car, number 42, the Honda Integra there did just a lap in qualifying, but apparently they're not going to be racing. So that's another car out of the way as far as James Slater is concerned. Carl Foster's Lotus Cortina is there, and Andrew Rollison is alongside him. So Carl Foster and Andrew Rollison side by side on the 14th row of the grid. And then, as I say, moves James Slater up another place as we still wait for sign of the field to be brought under starters' orders and a board of some shape or size to be indicating how long there is going to be until the restart. How clear is the track where you are, Chris? Is it clear now?
The marshals are still working away. The car is long gone. They're now deploying the aforementioned tractor with the big circular brush, which would indicate that the powder substance has been applied. The brush tends to be used to get rid of it again. So with any luck, the remaining course vehicles should be moving away fairly shortly. It's a great shame that we've had the weekend's racing disrupted, but of course, safety and of everybody concerned, of course, of all the drivers and all the marshals, etc., is of absolute paramount importance. So it's important that these processes are done correctly and efficiently. As I say, the tractor has just done its first pass over the dust. I think it's just going to have another go at it. So no one's putting any more dust down. So now it is just the final cleaning up operation, and then we should be good to go.
Okay, good news that. And one of the disadvantages of real metal racing, I suppose, in that the track does take a little while to be sorted out and got back into condition for racing. Kieran and Chris, more used to sim racing, where you just press a few buttons and the track's all ready to go. Sadly, in the real world, it doesn't quite work like that. The drivers are being given a board, or shown a board, I should say. Not being given the board at all, but they're being shown a board to say that the race distance has been reduced. And I think it also says on that board when the pit window is, but I can't actually read it from this distance.
It's just popped up on the timing screen, actually, on this side. So the race restart will be 2 green flag... Try that again. Green flag laps and then a 30-minute race duration. And pit window will open after 10 minutes and close after 20. So that's the standard 30-minute race pit window opportunity.
Arrangement,
there.
yes.
Yes, indeed. So open after 10 minutes for 10 minutes.
Right, and in effect then that does mean you do have quite a few opportunities. We're talking about just over a minute for a lap time, somewhere north of a minute and 10 for the midfield, and then so you've got quite an opportunity for coming into the pits. And as I say, we've spoken about tactics. By coming in towards the end of the window, you do maximise the chances of a code 60 or a safety car interruption, and so therefore I would expect, looking at it logically, which is never necessarily the best thing to do, but looking at it my way, the leading runners will try and do their pit stop as late as possible. Having said that, as Chris Buxton already alluded to, the driver standing on pole position, or the car standing on pole position, Nigel Ainge, may regard himself as being the slower of the two drivers, and so he probably wants Danny Cassar behind the wheel as soon as possible in order to maximise that car's chances. So it's a kind of pay your money and take your choice whether you come in towards the beginning or the end of the pit stop window. If the race stays green throughout, of course, doesn't matter, doesn't make any difference, because time will pass at the same speed no matter what. But if we do get a safety car or another interruption, then doing your pit stop during that window would be very much towards your advantage.
Very true indeed, as I am continuing to watch the sweeping tractor doing its business, and hopefully the course vehicles are now... Yes, okay, so the course vehicles are now beginning to move away, as are crucially the marshals. So it would seem that one last final inspection, and there we go. So now all the course vehicles are moving away. We should be good to go momentarily.
In a moment. So 2 green flag laps then, just to repeat what Chris said a moment ago, but to explain that with the potential for slippery surface at Beckett's or at Maggots as you go into the braking area. And of course that's the awkward bit. You're coming through the left-handed part of Maggots, then you're trying to put the brakes on and position the car for the right-handed hairpin at Beckett's. And if there is going to be sand down there, whether it's sand, cement, dust, quick dry, powder, that's soaking up liquid that came from the car of Terry Upton, then they do want to give them 2 opportunities to drive through that area before they actually get there for the first time on a racing lap. So we'll have 2 green flag laps. They'll come to a standstill. It'll still be a standing start, and then the race will be on. And altogether, having started the race at the first time of asking just about midday, we're not going to actually end up starting this race until about 25 or 12:30, which is a bit of a delay, and part of the reason, no doubt, why the clerk of the course has decided that the race should be shortened to a 30-minute duration rather than the originally scheduled 40 minutes. Many of the cars sitting down there on the grid with the doors open and hoping to get underway very shortly. Manoj Patel, having made the better of the 2 starts from the front row at the first time of asking, will be looking to repeat the procedure but trying to make it stick, because he was only able to lead the race for a lap, and then Nigel Ainge was back at him as they came out of Woodcote. Nigel got a very good exit to Woodcote and was up alongside and passed really before they got to Copse Corner at the beginning of the second lap, and that was at which point the red flag was shown. with the car of Terry Upton stranded at Maggots and racing not realistically able to continue. Green flag is shown at the start-finish line. Away they go most of them. I say that advisedly because the yellow and black car of Alfie Jones, somewhat slower away there, was Adam Brown's car. And there's another car, the Lotus Cortina won't start. Oh, bother. Marshal power is required to get the Lotus Cortina running. It's given a push, drops the clutch, won't fire, bit of smoke from the exhaust. It does fire. Cheer for the marshals as they put their hands up in jubilation through having got the Lotus Cortina started. Not the first time that a Lotus Cortina has ever been push started, I'm sure. Won't be the last time the Lotus Cortina has ever push started either. First of 2 green flag laps with you, Chris.
They are indeed. They're just turning off of Maggots now through a small cut-through part into Aintree, being led by Manoj Patel with Angie Kassar right alongside. Of course, they'll swap round in their grid positions. Of course, Manoj Patel should be starting in second, but no one's going to worry too much at this time. So this is the first green flag lap as the field continue to work their way past me. You mentioned if a slippery surface flag down at Beckett's. Well, if they've gone to Beckett's, they've gone very, very wrong, as they should be turning off of Maggots by that point. But here we go. Here comes the Cortina then. It has caught the back of the field, and they are being escorted around with one of the course vehicles right behind them, and they should be coming back into your sights momentarily, if not already there.
Just on time, yes, here they come now. Again, a fairly slow green flag lap, considering they've got 2 of these to do. You do need just to pick the pace up a little bit more, but the National Circuit, at least a relatively short affair, and so, yes, in fact, Manoj Patel is slowing the car. He doesn't know there's 2 green flag laps, hasn't told him that bit. He thinks they're going to come to a stop. So gently are they bringing them round. Yes, you really need to wave them on through here because it's 2 green flag laps, and as I say, Manoj Patel, you said, didn't you, Chris, that Manoj was leading the way. I don't know if he's maybe just waiting for Nigel Ainge to come through and use his prerogative as pole position allows him to lead the field. But at the moment he wants to keep his friends close and his enemies closer as they come through. They almost grind to a halt. In fact, they have stopped.
Oh dear.
Why do these messages not get through? So they've stopped. Now what are you going to do? Green flags being waved, and away they go for the second green flag lap. Oh dear.
As far as I know, they don't have to stop in between each green flag lap.
No, you're right. It's racing drivers, Chris.
They're very good at the going fast bit. It's the going slow bit they need reminding of sometimes.
It's reading instructions and then following.
Those supplementary regulations are there for a reason.
It's box this lap, box this lap. What, this lap or next lap? This lap, box this lap. No, I'll come in next time. Oh dear. I've run out of fuel. What shall I do? Yes. As I say, racing drivers. So they're coming up towards you for the second time of asking.
And Manoj Patel is back in front again.
And, yes,
he's wanted to really pick up where he left off. I was here before. I want to get back into this spot. But as long as they, of course, and now he's slowing down, letting them catch up with him again. Now these even though the track temperature will start to rise a little bit, the air temperature is still fairly cool.
It's fresh.
So, yes, indeed. So they will need to work these tyres, and it doesn't really matter how much they work them. They'll work the brakes as well to warm the wheel hub up, which again will heat soak into the tyres. They won't be at full racing temperature before they've done a lap or 2, so they do have to be careful. And I just wanted, there we go, the number 27, James Slater. He's probably getting frustrated at the back because he knows that the pace of the car is far more than where his starting position will belie. But sadly, with his difficulties in qualifying, he had to do 3 time laps with the turbo tin tops category. That's where he was allowed to do his requisite 3 laps and then allowed to start at the back of the field. At least he was able to continue the race today. Yes,
absolutely. So coming through again, and As I say, I think James is going to be able to do some overtaking from where he is. And the question really is how much overtaking he's going to be able to do. We're still showing 30 minutes to go, 10 minutes of racing, as I say, and then 10 minutes in the pits. Nigel Ainge brings the Integra then through and up onto pole position, the outside line being pole position here on the Silverstone National Circuit. Alongside him, Manoj Patel there will come into second place. Then on the second row, we've got Adam Brown and Russell Hurd, the Ford Fiesta of Adam Brown, and then Russell Hurd's Integra Type R. And then it's Gary Barlow and Alfie Jones next up on the third row of the grid. They're now in position, stationary. Up into position now on the fourth row is Steve Papworth with his Civic and James Wilson's Peugeot 206. The rest of the field still taking up the positions at the back of the grid. The green flag is being prepared at the back of the grid to indicate to the front of the grid that the red lights can be switched on. Green flag waves at the back. Red lights then can be switched on, and then they'll go out, and we'll have the race underway for the second time of asking for the Co-ord Sport Tin Tops race. It's a very quick flash from red to out, and away they go, and that caught pole position man Nigel Ainge napping just a little bit, I fancy. And once again, Manoj Patel has gone through into the lead. And do you know what? I reckon Adam Brown might have even, or was it Russell Hurd? It might have even been Russell Hurd sneaking up to second place. I'll let you sort that one out, Chris. But Nigel Ainge certainly got napping with the lights went out.
Oh, Russell Hurd is actually challenging for the lead on the outside line of Maggots. Manoj Patel was a little bit cautious coming into the braking zone. Now on the outside line is indeed Adam Brown. So where on earth is the 86 gone? He's down behind Alfie Jones. That's a horrendous start for the number 86, but it is still running. James Slater is storming through the field. He's right up in the midfield pack, so he's had an excellent restart this time around. And they're now going to be screaming back up to your site, Paul.
Yes, down into Brooklands, the left-hander, and then turning through Ruffield. And of course, this is the time when Russell Hurd is going to try and make good his escape, while the cars, potentially quicker cars behind him, sort themselves out. So Hurd goes through, comfortable lead for him. In second place goes the Ford Fiesta, Adam Brown. So the whole second row coming through first and second. In third place comes up Gary Barlow from the third row of the grid. Fourth place is Nigel Ainge. In fifth place is number 36, Alfie Jones. In seventh place, number 14, is Steve Papworth. And he was in sixth place, I beg his pardon. And in seventh place is number 234, James Wilson. Leaders with you.
Yeah,
into the pits is 112. Into the pits then is Manoj Patel.
Yeah, Patel is in. Patel is in, and I'll throw the gloves for one of the team members. He's brought the car in. We'll get to see Manoj Patel shaking his head. That might be a huge problem. I'll report back when I get more info. The engine is off though.
Oh, terrible! That was the race-winning car from last year on this race circuit. That's a great shame for Manoj Patel. He's a regular podium scorer in that particular car the more it's developed, so that's a huge shame for him as they've come back through my site and back up towards you, Paul.
Yes, and the leader opening up his lead very comfortably indeed at the moment. Russell Hurd then has opened the gap to 2.8 seconds between himself and Adam Brown in second place. In third place is Gary Barlow. Fourth place is Nigel Ainge. Fifth place is Alfie Jones. In sixth place, Stephen Papworth. In seventh place is James Wilson, 234, and in eighth place, car number 113, is the car of Stephen Reynolds.
Yes, 112, Manoj Patel. They're tightening up the front wheels. Manoj Patel's fired up the engine again. He's been given the get-go, and away he goes.
So just tightening up the front wheels, but Manoj Patel, they're already a lap behind the rest of the field. Chris.
A great shame, yeah. Russell Hurd is continuing to build on the lead as we've got lots of fighting going on throughout the field, just coming past my position here at Aintree. Everybody's staying fairly well behaved at the moment. Yeah, Russell Hurd is doing a storming job. It's been a while since he's been on the top step of the podium, but he certainly starts to mean to go on. Adam Brown is doing his best to fend off the advances of Gary Barlow.
Yes, 2.8 seconds it was at the end of 2 laps, 4.2 seconds at the end of 3 laps. So Russell Hurd, yes, certainly stretching his legs and making hay while the sun shines. Positions behind him stay the same, with Gary Barlow behind. Sorry, it's Adam Brown behind him in 2nd place. Nigel Ainge in 4th place. In 5th place is Alfie Jones. In 6th place, Steve Patworth. So no change behind there. But Russell Hurd have already probably gone and passed you, Chris.
There they have indeed. They're back up towards you. Great fight going off a 10th position with the number 98 Bellamy car that's fending off the advances of the Alexander Williamses in the Saxo. Right behind them is Miles Mosley. So a wonderful 3-way fight there for the Peugeots and the Citroën. Oh, we've got trouble. We've got a car pulling off here. It's the number 19 car that's pulling off. That's the Channing and Dye car that had difficulty in qualifying, and there goes Manoj Patel absolutely gunning it to make up for lost time. The number 90 car is pulling off, and it's under its own power, at least it is getting off the track. So a retirement for Lee Channing and Wayne Dye.
Yeah, that was a car that had the bonnet pop open, wasn't it, in the qualifying session? So I don't see why that would be a reason to retire, although maybe that he's just afraid of it popping up again and obscuring his vision.
Well, the bonnet appears to be in the correct shape, so it would seem to be some kind of mechanical issue for the number 19.
It was a further mechanical issue. They had a problem with the brakes in qualifying as well. They changed over the front brakes in the hopes that they would fix the problem. But as you say, Chris, if they're trying to crawl around and back to the pits, then that might be the end of the day for them.
Yeah, so that car, as Chris said, behind the wall out of the race. The lead 5 seconds, probably already passed you, Chris, for the 5th time.
Yes, indeed. It's difficult for me to know where to look. There's cars all over the place, which is, again, a wonderful problem to have. And again, it's very indicative of the eclectic mixture we enjoy and the Classic Sports Car Club. Just coming past me now, Manoj Patel, getting past the 177. That's Catherine Henderson. A car she usually shares with Alan Tice, her father, who we also see in Marcos. I'm not sure if Alan is here this weekend, but Manoj Patel trying to make up for lost time.
But he is a lap behind, unfortunately.
Sadly so, yes.
So Russell Hurd, still continues to extend his advantage. He did a 1 minute 4.6 on the previous lap. Leads the race now by 6 seconds, and then a further 2.6 seconds back from Adam Brown is Nigel Ainge in 3rd place, Gary Barlow 4th, and then in 5th place Alfie Jones.
Indeed, yeah, the Ainge Kazar car has managed to get past Gary Barlow in the course. Oh, it was on the previous lap, but they're still very, very close together, the 86 and 30 cars. And I'm keeping an eye on the Bellamy number 98, now being joined by Nick Mellon, the 205 Peugeot, continuing to squabble for their particular bit of tarmac. As Manoj Patel now sizing up the number 45 car. As Alan Wilshire again dispatching of that fairly quickly. A day of frustration, sadly, for Manoj Patel.
Yes, top 5 already having gone past me. The leader up with you this time. Still Russell Hurd in that pristine white Honda Integra. Doesn't look like anybody's going to get close to him. He's just continuing to go further and further away from the competition.
Yeah, his lap times are some distance ahead of what Adam Brown is able to do. Now that Nigel Ainge, again we assume it's Nigel Ainge that's starting the car, he tends to do so, handing over to Danny Qatar in the second part of the race. He has now opened up a bit of a gap between himself and Gary Barlow, the number 30 Integra, not able to keep on pace with the Ainge Kazar number 86. But yeah, Russell Hurd is having a stormer. It was 6.8 seconds last time over the line. I think he should be coming past just fairly soon.
Exactly past me and across the line, completing 7 laps now. Still with Adam Brown behind him in the Ford Fiesta in 2nd place. 3rd place man Nigel Ainge trying to catch up, and he's certainly going more quickly than Adam Brown is. So Nigel Ainge beginning to close in, or to start to reduce the gap between himself and Adam Brown. So keep an eye on that one. 2.8 seconds it was between 2nd and 3rd as they went across the start-finish line.
Yeah, the Catherine Henderson is now the next one to be lapped by Russell Hurd as he's come past. Now Adam Brown is coming past my position. with Nigel Ainge in hot pursuit. Looks like the gap between the Fiesta and the Honda is beginning to close. So exactly as you were saying, Paul, as he continues to press on. James Slater's just gone past me. He's now up into 6th place from having to start in last. So a storming effort there. He's gone past Alfie Jones. So James Slater's now up into 5th place from starting twice dead last.
Yes, and having a much better day of it than quite a lot of those around him. It's 8 laps now completed and a minute away from the pit stop window opening. So next time around, theoretically, they could start coming into the pits. Still the gap first to second continuing to rise. It was a better lap again there from Nigel Ainge, his best lap of the race, but reduces the gap between himself and second place man by just 0.2 of a second. So it was 2.8, it's come down to 2.6 of a second now between second and third. Gary Barlow in 4th place. 5th place, having had this remarkable race, is James Slater, up into 5th place overall, ahead of 6th place Gary Barlow. Stephen Patworth in 7th. In 8th place, car number 113 is Steve Reynolds, and then in 9th place, car number 234, James Wilson.
Yeah, James Wilson's just gone past me. He's challenging the Reynolds and Ridgeon car. Wonderful battle there for 8th place. Just a couple of tenths apart last time they came over the line. Now just coming past me, Miles Mosley in the 58 car is the next to be challenged by Manoj Patel. Still with the number 5 car, the number 5 car, the Ford car. Yeah, I knew I'd end up saying that sentence at some point. Of Andrew Rollison, who's very much on his own. He's somewhat outgunned in the 1360cc Ford KA, but it's great to see that, like we said earlier, the diversity of the grid is one of the huge selling points here at CSCC.
And the pit window is now open. So who's going to be one of the first to blink? We think Nigel Ainge might be early. Coming into the pits now is one of the, I won't say back markers, but car number 58, Miles Mosley, comes into the pits out of 10th place. Many others coming in just yet. In comes the race leader, car number 6. So far from leaving stock till the end, Russell Hurd decides to come in right at the beginning of the session. He's got nobody to hand over to. Remind myself, it's as quick as you can pit stop, isn't it?
Correct, yes. For this series, it is quick as you can.
So I just found myself on the wrong page of the notes there. So the pit stop will be very short. Kieran McGinley will probably only be able to tell us if anything goes wrong.
And also no success penalty for Russell to have to serve. So it is just the pit stop procedure. So
out of the car, close the door, open the door, get in the car, get yourself belted in, wait until your mechanic tells you it's clear to go. It was clear to go. Russell Hurd back on his way, but of course no longer in the lead of the race because that has been taken over by Adam Brown in the Ford Fiesta. All these Hondas at the front, who would have guessed that a Ford Fiesta would be leading with 12 minutes of the race gone?
Yeah, Adam Brown has enjoyed the company of that Fiesta for a few years now. He was in a Fiesta XR2 before that, which was only in 2020, so he's had that car a couple of years. But he's regularly within the top 5. He won at Thruxton this year, did Adam Brown, so he has a success penalty to serve when he comes in, so an additional 30 seconds for his stop. But it is so far so good at this end of the circuit.
Yeah, a few more coming in now. Alan Walker, car number 133. I think 30 is in as well. So Nigel Ainge is in to the pits, as is number 155, and that is Thomas Spencer to hand over, I'm guessing, assuming they've written the names in the right order, to Paul Anderson, driver number 2. And so 155 is in, but and with now behind the wheel of the car which, remember, started on pole position, car number 86, Danny Kazar, possibly the quickest driver in the race. We'll see where he resumes with respect to the erstwhile leader, Russell Hurd, who, as I say, is dropping down as a result of having made his pit stop as early as he did.
Very, very true. Just coming past me, the Reynolds Origin car still fending off the advances of James Wilson in the number 234. Usually shares that car with Tony Wilson, but James flying solo in that one. Russell Hurd is now starting to get back into the rhythm of things. He's just gone past me. I've got a strange bit of almost empty track. It's all fairly quiet down here. That's
I can only imagine that's because the pit lane has suddenly got a bit full. Kieran, what's going on with you? Don't know, he says. So Adam Brown is in the pit lane. That's the Ford Fiesta number 56 that was in the lead of the race. Nigel Ainge is still in the pits there, waiting to hand the car over to Danny Cassar. I've got a screen here somewhere that tells me what the last pit stop time is, but it's a question of finding the right remote control unit and then changing to...
All the buttons you have available to you, Paul.
Far more than I deserve, I have to say. But it does tell me how long the leading runners actually spent in the pits. So Russell Hurd, I can tell you, in the pits for 52 seconds. Miles Mosley was in the pits for 67 seconds. And James Slater, who's already made his pit stop, remember car number 27 right from the back of the grid? James Slater, 55 seconds. So Russell Hurd, it was a quick pit stop from him, 52 seconds. What I'm waiting for is for the car of Nigel Ainge and Danny Cassar to come through at the end of this lap, and then my screen will tell me what its pit stop time was. And then we'll be able to have a little idea as to whether Danny Cassar is on the chase or whether he leads the race. Pit stop window still open for another 5 minutes.
Adam Brown got a little bit snarled up behind the 133 car. That's Alan Walker. Has the unusual distinction. He was previously seen in a Renault Twingo, of all things. It's certainly the only time I've seen one of those in racing, guys. He's now out in the pint-size racing, as it's called, the Honda Integra DC2.
I remember seeing a Renault Twingo as a safety car at a race at Zolder at Belgium once. Most bizarre situation. A field of GT cars were behind it, and this funny little Renault Twingo leading the way with the safety. Unbelievable. Anyway, it was a disastrous pit stop for Danny Cassar. Nigel Ainge and Danny Cassar, I don't know what went wrong, but car number 86, their pit stop was nearly 2 minutes, 1 minute and 57 seconds. Now compare that with the time that Russell Hurd spent in the pits. That was just 52 seconds. They did have a penalty.
They had they had 60 seconds because they won at Browns and at Donington Park.
Okay, so that would be why.
Yes, so that's why their pit stop was distinctly longer.
Yeah.
So when they have those penalties to serve, it doesn't really serve them to rush too much on their pit stop because they're going to be in there longer anyway.
Yes, exactly. And sorry for getting slightly over dramatic then. So it was a 1:57 though, which did seem like a long pit stop. But Danny Cassar then just done the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute and 3.662 seconds for Danny Cassar, 12th place at the moment. 13 minutes of the race still to go, and we're just letting the pit stop window effect cycle round, and then we're going to have Russell Hurd back in the lead of this race. But as you were saying, no pit stop penalty to serve for Russell. He's looking in very good shape indeed, and his most likely competition, I reckon, Chris, is going to be coming from James Slater with that Honda Civic that started right at the back of the grid. He must be wondering what he could have done if he'd started at the front.
The good old what-if scenario. So everybody except car number 70, as far as I can see, which is Chris Waltonspool, has been in the pit lane from what I can see.
I'll go along with that.
I can't see the number 70 car from here, so I'm assuming he's coming in. At some point, I hadn't actually realised until just now that we've lost the number 77, the Alexander Williams Saxo. I'm assuming that pulled off into the pits because I can't see. There hasn't been any indication of yellow flags down this side. No,
it's got a triangle against it, which indicates it stopped on the circuit. It would have a little gear cog if it stopped in the pits. So,
indeed. That is one we've lost at some point.
Yeah.
And another one in the... So we've got a couple of people in the pits. Manoj Patel in the pits again. So that's the second time
it is.
Come in. Yeah, so more trouble potentially for oh, of course, because he pitted outside the pit window.
That's it. That's his actual scheduled stop within the window. He pitted earlier because of those front wheel issues.
Good spot there, Kieran. Another one, Chris Herwood is in the pits at the moment, the number 21 car, along with the 20 car, which is Reece Page in the Mini. So I think that's, and there we go, and there's Walter Small in the pits. So that is everybody now having served their pits.
And Danny Cassar going great guns in the number 86 Honda Integra, still the fastest man out there. Not quite going quicker on that last lap, but his previous lap was the best lap of the race, a 1 minute 2.944, and he is now 12 seconds away from the race leader. So actually that's not true, is it? No, he's more than that. He's 12 seconds behind the car in front of him. It's more like a minute behind the race leader, which would be befitting his minute penalty on the pit stop. Russell Hurd leads the race though by nearly 30 seconds, 28.0 between Russell Hurd and James Slater in second place. In third place, a further 15 seconds behind, is Adam Brown. In fourth place is Gary Barlow. He's just 3 seconds behind. And then in fifth place is number 234, James Wilson, just waiting for him to come past now. Here he comes. James Wilson now comes through 10 seconds, nearly 11 seconds behind the car in front of him. And those 5 cars are the only cars on the lead lap. Danny Cassar is actually a lap off the lead lap.
Just an update from the pit lane. You'll have seen the number 21 is in the pit lane, and it will stay there. Herwood brought the car in, that number 21 machine, because it started misfiring at 5,000. He had trouble getting away, it kept bogging down, and he's decided to retire the car to try and save every piece of it. So that's the number 21 retired from the race.
It's not been a good day for the Odell squad. That's another one of the Odell cars that has hit trouble. So sadly, the end of the race for Chris Herwood. Fastest car on track. Wow, that I would imagine that is Danny Cassar that is out there. 102.944, quicker by about 1.5 seconds over anyone else. That's the 86 car that is clawing away quite enthusiastically at the gap between himself and James Wilson at the moment.
Yes, he's not actually that far away. In fact, he's just got himself past, so they're on the same lap. Now, they were a lap behind, so Danny Cassar has just got himself past Russell Hurd on the road, and that takes him on to the same lap as the race leader. So I did say it was 5 cars on the lead lap. It's now 6 cars on the lead lap as Danny Cassar, as you say, driving the wheels off that Honda Integra, trying to make up for his extra minute in the pits. And as I say, he is just about a minute and 3 seconds behind the race leader. So that just about is exactly the time he lost in the pit lane.
He danced past James Wilson, so James didn't really offer any particular resistance. You know realistically who you're in a battle with, and when you've got someone with the experience and proven race record behind you, such as Nigel Ainge and Danny Cassar, you know when you've been outgunned.
Yeah, well, yes, quite. But you can just make your car a little bit wider to make it a little bit more difficult for the guy to get past. But your point is well made. 8 minutes and a quarter still to go of this 30-minute, slightly shortened race. Russell Hurd leading the way still then from James Slater with the Honda Civic in second place. Just looking for where James is. Here he comes now. So he's quite a long way behind. So it's a comfortable margin for Russell in the lead of the race. But 28 seconds, it's pretty much exactly the same as it was before. 1 minute 5.2 for the race leader, 1 minute 5.6 for the second place man. Adam Brown comes through in third place with his Ford Fiesta, coming through now. And then it will be Gary Barlow in fourth place. Another pit caller is number 112, again, Manoj Patel. Further problems for Patel. Manoj Patel then into the pits for his third stop and his second unscheduled stop.
Oh, tragedy there again. So let's see if Kieran's able to catch up with what's gone on there. Another car that seems to have disappeared from sight, the 205, Peugeot 205. That's Nick Mellor. He was due to share that car with John White We hadn't seen that car throughout 21. We saw it at Donington, where it was almost inside the top 10, but that sadly has disappeared into the wilderness somewhere. Also, it was a shame, Manoj Patel was making great guns. He was almost back inside the top 10, having been through the pits twice already up to that point. So whatever's gone wrong is more than likely going to spell the end for the 112 car.
It's gone wrong and got worse, hasn't it? So yes, it having had a very good start, and as I say, it wasn't quite the start that we expected. Russell Hurd absolutely on the money at the start and has been on the money ever since. It was a quick pit stop for him, came in right at the start of the window, got the pit stop out of the way, worked his way back to the front of the field. There he goes again across the start-finish line, now completing 21 laps, and his lead still around 30 seconds over James Slater, who lost a couple of seconds on that previous lap. May well be that the tyres on his Honda Civic just beginning to cry enough, but don't think he's in any danger of being caught by Adam Brown. Still 5 minutes and a bit to go in the race. We're just waiting for the Honda Civic. There he comes now, James Slater, then coming through in second place, and then Adam Brown with the third place car now coming into sight with the blue and white Ford Fiesta. Here he is coming through in third place. Leader having already gone past you, but you should have James Slater with you, Chris.
I've got plenty of cars around me. Gone off the road. That's the number 14 car. That's the Honda of Steve Patworth. I think he was slightly caught up there, trying to get around one of the, I think it's the Fiestas. Just had to run a little bit wide, but a quick bounce off the grass, and he is back underway. Here comes Adam Brown coming past me, along with Gary Barlow, and I would imagine right behind it, is Danny Cassar, just getting past Carl Foster's Lotus Cortina, and that gap has been shrinking at a rate of knots, so fourth is looking pretty promising for the number 86.
Yes, it's certainly within range, isn't it? Lapping 3 seconds quicker than the car in front of him on the previous lap. In fact, I used to say he might not squeeze a podium position out of this yet, because ahead of Gary Barlow, Adam Brown is only a further 6 seconds up the road. So he's certainly within stomping range. Adam Brown goes through now, waiting for... there goes, in fact, Danny Cassar is already through into third place. No, he's not quite, he's just on the tail. So Gary Barlow's still there in fourth place, but he may well overtake him when he gets to you at Beckett's this time. Look out. Gary Barlow, Danny Cassar absolutely together.
And there they are, Barlow's still ahead at the moment. He had a very scary moment at Snetterton, I think it was last year, where he actually got airborne, all four wheels off the ground, and a good exit from Maggots for the number 86 car, and dispatches of Gary Barlow without too much incident. There wasn't really any way for Gary to be able to block that along the Wellington Straight, so that is now fourth for the Ainge Cassar car.
Yes, and sorry, go ahead, Kieran.
Yeah, just an update on Manoj Patel, just a quick one, won't take much of your time. That 1-1-2, he's brought the car in because of fuel concerns. He wasn't going to have enough fuel to finish the race, so he's brought the car in before that happens. But yeah, it's been a day or race for him to rather forget, but he holds his hands up and says it was all me.
Well, I would say so, because how did he know that the race was going to be shortened to 30 minutes? And if he's worried about the race fuel lasting for 30 minutes, then that seems very odd to me. But anyway, leader goes through again. Still Russell Hurd in absolute command of the situation. I'm looking down though to third place, where Adam Brown in number 56 Ford Fiesta is being closed upon by Danny Cassar in the 86 Honda Integra, and the gap between them being shown on the screen at the moment is 5.4 seconds. The difference in lap time, something like 3 seconds. 2.5 minutes remain on the clock. This is going to be a Silverstone type finish for third place as they come out of Woodcote then for this. They're on their 25th lap at the moment, and whereas Adam Brown's Fiesta, flashing his lights as he comes out of Luffield, crossing the line now. He knows he's got the Honda Integra behind him, closing, but he's not with him yet. Across the start-finish line goes Danny Cassar, the leaders heading up towards Beckett's and into the sight of Chris Buxton.
Yeah, that they are, and together they are. Also, just realised James Slater from starting last. He's in second and looks set to stay there. Here comes,
yeah, absolutely. Great
that's
run.
an awesome run from him. Now then, Danny Cassar should dispatch on the 51 car, which is the Claudia Merriman car, with comparative ease. Yep, there is nothing but fresh air now in between Adam Brown and Danny Cassar. That's going to be a difficult car to guard against.
With 1 lap to go at the end of this one. So they're not on the last lap yet, but they will be at the end of this one. So 1 lap to go at the end of the one we're on. We're on the 26th lap at the moment. And here comes Danny Cassar trying to close in on Adam Brown as they come through. He goes past him as they come out of Woodcote. So takes not the lead, but takes third place away. So into third place is Danny Cassar. He managed to do it just before they reached the start-finish line. Now, is anything else going to be on the table for Danny Cassar? I rather think not. James Slater, having had such a good race, as you said there, Chris, right from the back of the grid, he'd made up good ground, did all the work, it has to be said, in the first half of the race, and got himself into second. And after that, he's lost a little bit of ground from the race leader, but has stayed within, 35 seconds of the race leader. Last lap they're on.
Adam Brown is doing what he can to stay on the coattails of Danny Cassar, which is, considering that the lap time pace that Danny Cassar had, that is a very, very difficult feat to achieve, but he's doing his best to try and hang on in there. But yeah, I would imagine, as far as progress for anybody else, that is, the racing order is pretty much concluded as the timer has hit 0. The checkered flag doth await Russell Hurd.
Yes, and it's been an absolute copybook picture race for Russell Hurd. The third place battle just going across the line now, and it's not really a battle anymore because Danny Cassar has got himself well and truly into third place, already 1.8 seconds clear of Adam Brown, who's fourth. There's the race leader though, there's the checkered flag, there's Russell Hurd winning the first race of the day for the CSCC Silverstone Spectacular here at Silverstone, the Coord Sport Tin Tops. Russell Hurd, a commanding victory by him, got it away like a scalded cat at the start, moved away, continued to lead, made his pit stop very early on in the pit stop window. That went swimmingly, 52 seconds, and he was back on his way again. And all that was left for the rest was to huff and puff into their sweatbands, because James Slater came all the way up from the back of the grid, coming through now. 33 seconds adrift is all he finishes at the back there. So James Slater, his pit stop, a 55-second affair, so a slightly longer pit stop. But then third place, making up for a 1-minute penalty effectively with the longer pit stop for Nigel Ainge and Danny Cassar. Give credit to both of them, but Danny Cassar really the hero of the second part of the race, dragging the car back into third place in the end, 48 seconds behind Russell Hurd's car. And of course that means that had it not been for that 1 minute extra spent in the pits, then we might be talking about a very different result to the one that we are talking about. But the regulations are so written to keep things equal and to stop anybody running away and winning all the races and taking away all the silverware. Danny Cassar, Nigel Ames then penalised by a minute and staying in the pits for that extra time, finishing 48 seconds behind as the final podium finisher. In fourth place was Adam Brown with the Ford Fiesta ST Turbo. In fifth place, number 30, Gary Barlow with his Honda Integra Type R. In sixth place, car number 234, was James Wilson with the Peugeot 206. In seventh place, car number 14, Stephen Patworth with his Honda Civic. In eighth place, car number 58, Miles Mosley with the Peugeot 306. In ninth place, car number 36, Alfie Jones with his Honda Civic Type R. And rounding out the top 10, car number 113, the combined efforts of Stephen Reynolds and John Ridgeon had a fairly uneventful race of it, but finished in 10th place with their Renault Clio. Well done to all of them. The other class winners, incidentally, were number 133, which won his class, the Honda Integra of Alan Walker, car number 98, David Bellamy with the Peugeot 106 won his class, and then the other class winner was car number 5, Andrew Rollison with his Ford KA. So those were the race winners, the class winners. We now move into the lunch break, but before we dig out the sandwiches too much, hopefully we're going to be able to hear from the race winner and Kieran McGinley, who is down there with them. And Kieran has got himself on the wrong side of the car.
He's running away from me.
He thought it's a right-hand drive, Kieran.
I thought so. No, thank you very much, Paul. I will try and have a chat to Russell Hurd. I was just having a look at the big tyre mark on the left-hand side of the car. Russell, I mean, what a day for you. From the back all the way to the front. I mean, talk us through it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Car was mega. I had problems in qualifying with a flat tyre. With some new tyres on it, actually went round on rails. It was brilliant, epic. Couldn't have done it without my mate, Andy. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Smile on your face, bit of a mark on the left-hand side. Talk us through that.
We had, Adam and I had a little coming together on the first corner. Just his tyre, so no damage done. It will polish out, I'm sure. Likewise with his, so no hard feelings. It's one of those, isn't it?
I mean, a big smile on your face. I mean, from the back, we can't say that enough.
No, not quite fourth. We started fourth, so not quite from the back, but we did it at first start and got to the front, and second start got to the front, so car was brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. Russell, congratulations. Enjoy your victory today. Let's see if we can grab second place in that race then, which was James Slater. James, come over here.
He did come from the back.
He did come from the back. That's right. I got it mixed up. Don't worry. James, congratulations. From the back to second place. I got it right. Don't worry. James, talk us through that. That was a hectic race.
Well, it was a hectic start to the race. We were fitting brake hoses like 5 minutes before the grid, so it was because of the incident in qualifying. So, yeah, that was... I'm surprised I'm here, so that's good. It was a good race.
Yeah, talk about keeping your head cool in that scenario. Not only was it a fractured start, but then you had to try and face your way through the field. I mean, how was that out there?
Yeah, there's some good overtaking fun there. Definitely some overtaking practice. That was great fun.
And how is the national circuit with this machine behind you?
It's challenging. Yeah, there's some really tight turns. But yeah, great track. Love it.
Yeah, from the back though, so congratulations on your second place. Enjoy it. Fantastic. Well done. Smile on the face of James Slater there. Let's have a chat to our third place driver then in Danny Cassar. Danny, from a difficult position, but you managed to wrang your way up to third place on the final lap. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, well, we knew we had a minute. It was going to be tough in a 40-minute race. So when we had the unfortunate incident to cut it down, it was always going to be difficult to make it up. I was surprised, to be honest, that we got back as far as we did. But Nigel's stint at the beginning kept us in the hunt, and yeah, then it's just go as hard as you can till the checker comes out.
Hard as you can, I like that. And Nigel, I want to come to you because that was a slightly fractured start. Obviously, we had the red flag on lap 1. What was it like in the cockpit there? Just originally 40-minute race, cut down to 30. What's going through your mind there?
Oh, well, you're thinking to yourself, we haven't got much time to make it that minute. But there's always a chance in racing, so you never know.
Well, congratulations to you both in your third place, and go and enjoy your podium. Congratulations. And of course, that means then that after that first race, it brings us to our first, well, I say first, the lunch break. When we come back, more racing action, 4 more races to come. So enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back with you very soon.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kieran.